Herbert Harris on a beautiful, incredible, magnificent day, and this is Millionaire Mentorship Call number 249. Just a little commercial before I go forward. We're going to be starting a New You webinar series in the next week or so. And I know a number of you have taken it before, but we have really begun to upgrade and modify. So anyone who wants more information about the New You webinars coming up, this is our 8-part transformational webinar, can just send an email to Herbert@herbertharris.com. That's Herbert@herbertharris.com. All right, our topic for today is power of imagination, your power of imagination. And you know, last week I think we talked about the idea that now is the time. And when we think about that, there is only one time. And the only time that exists is the now. And so when we look at that idea of now is the time, then the thought comes up that we always live in the now, but life is really about the next. That we really always want to know what to do next, where we go next. What's the next important thing to be done? And so imagination is a powerful tool to help us figure out what is next. Now let's look at some points here. Wherever you are, whatever our situation, is determined by the choices we make, the decisions we make based on those choices, and the actions we take. And if that is so, then everything is done in the now. And the question is always, what do we do next? Our life is always about next. But next is always determined by now. And so if we think about that, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? What are those things that can help us, say, turn that corner? What are the things that can help us make the changes in our lives that makes everything work? That makes the things that we are seeking manifest? In fact, what are those things that make the things that we are seeking just explode in front of our eyes? There are 4 tools. There are 4 things that really guide us from the now to the next that we desire. There will always be a next, but we want the next that we desire. And the 4 tools that guide us are imagination, time. Time is that critical foundation. If we have no time, then all of this doesn't matter. So time. Thought. Because our thoughts become things. We live our lives in accordance with our thoughts. Earl Nightingale says we become what we think about most of the time. And then the 4th element is discipline. Discipline so that we can focus our actions. And so 4 things that really determine the next and where we're going in our lives are imagination, time and how we use it, time management, thought, and the thoughts we choose to think and implement, and discipline, that force that gives focus to our efforts and brings about results. And today we're going to focus on imagination. Albert Einstein once said that imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the whole world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. If imagination is that, then what is the thing that ties us in with imagination? What is the thing that connects us to imagination? And the thing that connects us to imagination is desire. In other words, we have to desire something. Desire is that emotional power that accesses imagination. Those of us who are in network marketing, direct marketing, in fact, in life in general, you must have a why. But in business, we always talk about the moment you become an entrepreneur, we say, what is your why? Why are you doing this business? And so the why is the thing that we desire. If we have no desire, then why is irrelevant. Okay? If we have no desires, then our life is like a thistle in the wind. You know, there's a saying that some people live their lives like stars on a predetermined trajectory, and other people live their lives like thistles in the wind. And the difference is the level of their desire. And so we only have success when our desire is strong enough. You know, we go back over and over. And one of the reasons that I love network marketing is because it gives you a vehicle to immediately translate your why into action, into manifestation. In other words, you're the prime mover and you're the prime beneficiary. And so if we don't have a strong desire, and that all presupposes, you know, this whole success stuff is such a step-by-step foundation. To have a strong desire, you must have a goal. And you must not only have a goal, you must have a written goal. You must have a goal that you have defined in sensory fashion so that you will have the psychic energy necessary to make things happen. So desire is that fuel that primes the pump to access infinite intelligence. You see, we often say that desire, or your imagination, takes the formless energy of the universe and converts it into the formed energy in your own mind, in your life experience. And so imagination is a process by which you can take that which is not present to the senses right now, but that you can then translate that stated desire through imagination into your present reality. And so when we apply this, we think about the idea of a turning point. That as we move along through life, some of us are having incredible success. And in that case, we want to keep doing what we're doing because clearly we have accessed that universal intelligence through desire, and we're getting the results we desire and we're seeking. Others are not having that great success. Sometimes many of us experience like failure after failure after failure. And we're looking for a turning point. Well, that turning point is our desire. If we don't seem to be accomplishing the things we set out to do, it's so important to go back and revisit our why. Why are we doing this? So that we can then rekindle our desire, because it is only when our desire is strong enough that we can access infinite knowledge through imagination. We know that our deep desires and our goals are the things that keep us moving, that keep us striving. But the essence of success, I like to think of as certainty. And by this I mean, those of us who are parents, when your children are hungry, we don't say to them, I'm going to go and try to find something for you to eat, where we are acknowledging the possibility of failure, that we may not find something for you to eat and you'll starve. When we have that certainty, that type of commitment, that type of desire, when we go out to find something, when our kids are hungry, believe me, we will find a way. And we find a way because that desire to fulfill that need for our children is so strong that we access infinite intelligence. We get very creative. It may mean we have to rob, steal, build, whatever it is. Failure is not an option. There is no concept of failure. And so, in order to put our imagination really in a situation where it can prime that pump to give us what we're seeking, we have to know that success is there. We have to know that whatever we desire, desires us. We have to remove all doubt from whatever we're seeking. Doubt is a farmer who has doubt in the growth process will plant a seed today and dig it up tomorrow to see if it's growing. Those of us who have doubt about our goals, our dreams, and our visions will work on it today, and then tomorrow we'll wonder if it's going to happen. And so to access imagination, we have to remove all doubt. Once we have removed all doubt, then imagination is there for us. We remove all doubt by having absolute desire, conviction, and belief in our goals. Now, we have talked about desire before, in many levels. We've talked about we've talked about imagination on many levels. We talked about the types of imagination. We've talked about creative imagination and synthetic imagination. In other words, synthetic imagination is where you fake it till you make it, where you see what you want to be and you act the part, and then one day you become the part. We've talked about creative imagination, where you have that deep sense of belief in what you're seeking, that you gain access to infinite intelligence and ideas and thoughts come into your mind that were not there before, but were there on the universal way. We've always talked about ways to increase your capacity to imagine, because the greater your capacity for imagination, the greater your possibilities for success. You see, if you dream small, you have small results. But if you dream big, you have big results. In other words, the process works. There's that beautiful poem, I think Longnecker wrote it. It basically says that whatever you ask of life, it will give you. If you ask for 1 million with conviction and faith, it will give you 1 million. But if you only ask for a penny, it will give you a penny. And so we talked about that, how to increase your imagination, to set yourself up to do more, be more, and have more, and to attract more into your life. So today I want to go beyond that. I want to go to what it takes to actually increase your creativity, because your imagination grows as your creativity grows. And so 3 steps to increase your creativity. Number 1, believe it can be done. Whatever your goals, whatever your desires, whatever the things you're seeking, believe that they are possible for you. Before anything can be accomplished, you must first believe it can be done. This belief sets the mind into a motion to find a way. As Longnecker said, whatever you ask of life, it delivers. And so whenever you have your stated desires and you believe down to your very core that you can achieve them, that you can realize them, believe me, results are on the way. Whatever the mind believes is true. Believing something can be done paves the way for your creative imagination to find a way to do it. We often say, don't worry about the how. That if the goal is clear enough and the desire is strong enough, the how will work itself out. So that first key to increasing your creativity, to believe it can be done. Second key, eliminate the word impossible from your vocabulary and from your thoughts. When you eliminate the word impossible from your vocabulary and your thoughts, you have eliminated the whole negative world, the negative consciousness. When you say or believe something is impossible, your mind sets out to prove it and will give you all the reasons why whatever you say is impossible and cannot be done. So eliminate that word from your consciousness, from your thoughts. Don't worry about the fact that nobody's ever flown before. You think the Wright brothers were concerned that nobody had ever flown before? No. Don't worry about that which has never happened. Only focus on that which you desire. The third key is to always be receptive to new ideas. My daughter was sharing something once with me, and she said, it's not enough to seek the answer, but you must also allow the answer to come into your being. You know, we often say, seek and you shall find. Well, in the evolutionary process in life, sometimes we'll seek something about ourselves and we'll find something we don't like about ourselves, and then we'll go into an elevation of denial. Okay, we find something we don't like about ourselves, and rather than face it and work with it, we deny its existence. And so, to be receptive to new ideas, don't judge who has the idea. Don't judge where the idea comes from. Don't just hear new ideas, but listen to them intently. Analyze the new ideas fully and completely, focusing on how and why they work, and how they may be a benefit for you. You know, there's some people that when you talk to them, they give you all the reasons things won't work. They'll ask you for advice, and when you give it to them, they'll say, I already tried that. Now, you're talking with a person who has accomplished what you're setting out to do. You ask me for a guidance, I tell you, and you tell me you've already tried that. You're closing your mind. Many times our ego will keep us from accessing infinite intelligence through our imagination because we'll be so concerned about who the idea came from. If a dog barks a good idea, listen to it. And so these 3 steps to increase your creativity: believe it can be done, eliminate the word impossible from your thoughts and your vocabulary, and always be receptive to new ideas and allow them to come into your being, into your consciousness. And so, how do we then practice? The other side of this philosophy, this positive thinking that we talk about is, what are the practical ways of doing this? And so I want to give us 5 keys to how to practice your creative imagination skills. You see, imagination is a skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The more your capacity for imagination, the more your skill for imagination, the greater your access to infinite intelligence. Step 1, establish a specific time and place each day. I just said that. Each day to practice creative imagination. You know, there's that passage, meditate in the law day and night. That if you don't do something on a daily basis, it loses its impact. This place should be something that's conducive to thought and reflection. It can't be noise. It's got to be quiet. So you got to find a place where you can sit and be with you. Number 2, develop the habit of using your mind for new ideas. We often can short-circuit our mind's capacity by immediately saying it can't be done. It's impossible. So develop the habit of using your mind for new ideas. Whenever a new situation confronts you, ask, how can this be a benefit for me? What can I learn from this to be better, stronger, more effective? Number 3, to think in new, expanded dimensions beyond what you're accustomed to thinking. If you keep doing the same things you've always done, you're going to get the same results you've always gotten. If you keep thinking in the same patterns that you always think, you're going to keep getting the results, because our thoughts become things. So begin to think beyond what is to what can be. I often tell the story of my coach said to me, when he said, what is my goal? And I said, I want to make $100,000 a month. And my coach said, why not make $1 million a month? And I had no thought representation of what my life would be like if I made $1 million a month. So I challenge each of you to expand your thoughts so that you can have a concept of what your life would be like if your greatest, most outrageous, most important goal is realized. Number 4, participate in activities that expand you as a person. I want to, in other words, get off the porch. If you want to run with the big dogs, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You will never grow in your imagination and your capacity as long as you stay in your comfort zone. If you're not uncomfortable about where you are and what you're doing, you're not growing. Growth requires discomfort. There's a phrase I'd like to give you that can help you get beyond some blockages. And it says this, you know, when that thought comes into your mind, it says, I can't do this. To rephrase that and look at it and say, you know, if I could do it, what would I do? Sometimes folks say, well, I don't know how to do it. Think of the phrase, if I did know, what would I do? That idea of opening the door to infinite intelligence is amazing, how the thought flows in so immediately. And finally, the 5th key is to develop your emotions and instincts of wonder into a vivid imagination. You know, when we were children, we wondered about everything. Everything was amazing. Everything was exciting. And somehow as we grow up, we begin to become, I don't know, conservative, you know, like, oh, we lose that sense of wonder. Well, wonder is an energy source that can power our desires to be more, do more, and have more, because when we have that sense of wonder, our eyes are open, our receptors are open to things we had not seen before, to things we had not experienced before. And so this foundation of imagination, I know that each of you are going to take it, and we deal with a lot of this in our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, and If you don't have one, you need to get one. If you want an ebook, email me at herbert@herbertharris.com, and we'll make sure to get you one. But the key is this: in order to create the life you want, in order to turn the corner towards your greatest desires, we have to power up our imagination so that our imagination can become the blueprint for our reality. We have to manage our time so that every moment, everything that we do is the most important thing to be done at that moment when we consider our why, our goals, and our vision. We must manage our thoughts, knowing that our thoughts become things, so that we only think thoughts that are congruent with that which we seek and desire. And we must handle our discipline so that we can keep ourselves on track. When we can do those things, our imagination can be the blueprint for our lives, and we can do whatever we want to do. We can be whatever we want to be, and we can have whatever we want to have. This is Dr. Herbert Harris saying, the best is yet to come.